Welcome to the College Soccer Guy podcast. I'm your host, Ev Tablib, and I'm going to help you play college soccer today. I am the College Soccer Guy. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. And let's get into it. So today's discussion is going to be talking about how to respond to coaches once they've sent you an email. So if you're in the College Soccer Guy program, aka work with me, call me link in bio if you want help with that. We tell you basically every way to respond. So if you work with me, you get 24/7 access to me and my team, and you will send us an email that you've received. You will draft what you think is the right thing to say to us. We will fix it and send it back to you to send to them. And that's how specific we are, because it really varies by situation, by coach, and everything else. So if you want the perfect scenario, that's what you should do. Now, for those of you who are like, I just want a generic answer, this is the generic answer. When you're getting responses from coaches, there's a couple different types of responses or emails back you're going to get from coaches. So let's start with number one. Number one is the generic email, okay? The one where they send you a camp invite. What do you do with that particular email? So we talked about this already in an earlier podcast, so I don't want to go too dive deep into it, but you want to get organized. So make sure you make a note of their camp date, make sure you make a note in your Gmail, and you put the word generic next to it. So now you've organized it, which is really important. Now, in saying that, you've organized it, which is great, and that's a piece of it, but how do you respond? So there's a couple ways to respond. One way to respond is you can say, Coach, thank you for the genuine email. Look, you know it's probably not genuine, but when you say to them, hey, it's genuine, when they look back at the email and they go, oh, maybe I didn't send them the generic one. I must have sent them a genuine because they specifically said, thank you for the genuine one. So then the coach might be thinking, well, that's good to know. Maybe I did send them a genuine one, and then they'll be more likely to read your email. So that's one way. The other way is you say to them, hey, dear coach, thank you so much for your email to the invitation to camp. I'm going to work on coming. I just would like to confirm you're looking for X position for the class of X. This is a really fair question that coaches, I think, that do answer and should answer, because, of course, they don't want to necessarily recruit somebody if they don't need that position, and coaches do know what positions they're looking for. Now, there is an argument, look, coaches are always looking for better players, so you could just as well not ask the question and be like, well, even if they don't say they're looking for my position, I'm going to go and try and impress them anyways. And a coach will be like, look, if you're better than what we have, or we think you're better than what we have, then abso-freaking-lutely we will still sign you, even if we're not looking for your position per se. But you as a player want to confirm, are they looking for your position? Because that's really important through this process. Because if they're not looking for your position, especially if you're a goalkeeper, then that could be a waste of an ID camp. So that's one way to respond to when you get a generic email. Make sure you put it in the organizational sections like we've talked about before. Now, when you respond to that generic email, sometimes they're going to respond to you, sometimes they won't. We talked about that in the last episode of ghosting. Remember, I want you to keep following up. The only reason you stop following up are two reasons. One, they tell you no. They say, we no longer want you we're not interested in you, which is great, to be honest, because at least they gave you an answer and you can move on with your life. Or you have other things you want to get to. You have other schools. I would personally if we could freeze time, I'd have you follow up until they give you an answer, because that's what you deserve. You deserve an answer because you've worked hard, you've made a video, you've gone to showcase ID camps. You deserve an answer. But you don't have that time. You have to move on to the schools that are responding to you. So I say respond as much as you can until time goes. You know what? I've messaged them 4 or 5 times. I have other schools that are interested, other schools I need to follow up with. I am no longer going to spend my time on this school. And then, frankly, follow up with them again in like 3 months and be like, I reached out to you. I haven't heard from you. I would like to know if you're interested in me. Here's an update on my life. I have an offer here, there, here, and I would like to see if you would match it, etc., which we'll talk about negotiating later. So that's how I want you to respond to the generic email. Okay, now the next section of emails is called the semi-genuine response. So this means part of the email seems genuine, but then another part of it seems generic, meaning it's like same old, same old. So maybe you get an email and it's invited you to camp, but at the beginning of the email, it looks like the coach said something genuine, like, I really liked your highlight video, which would be a genuine, and then he copy and pasted the ID camp. We call that semi-genuine, which is still, we pretty much lean that towards the genuine part, because it means they spent time reading your email, they watched your video, and they liked you. Which, remember, if they watch your video, that's a huge thing, okay? They do not watch very many videos. Probably in a day, they watch 1 to 2 videos a day, probably 3 to 4 times a week, and they're getting hundreds of emails, even thousands of emails. So if they watched your video, that is a really, really good thing. So if it's at all semi-genuine in any capacity, that we kind of mark that genuine. And in my program, you'll see literal copy and paste examples of a semi-genuine email, so you can know about it further. And in that semi-genuine email that you've received, you're pretty much going to do the same thing as you would do for the generic response. Pretty similar, because you want to see if you can come to the ID camp. It also depends what type of year. Like if you're doing showcases, if it's the fall season, you want to try and go to a fall game. This is where it's difficult for me to give you exact advice without knowing like your situation. To give you an example, one of our students received a semi-genuine email, and it was the fall season for them. So instead of saying, can I come to your ID camp, which is like not going to happen during that time of the year, we said, would it be possible to shake your hand in person after the game against, in his case, it was against Milwaukee. So great. Now the coach responded saying, yes, please wait after the game and say hello. Oh my gosh, now we have a one-on-one meeting after we watched a game. They've seen the video. Now the next step is really just one more time to see you play, and then an offer can come. And that's huge if you get to that stage. Now to get to that stage, it takes quite a few months of effort beforehand. So that's the semi-genuine. Now, the fun one. The genuine one. Okay, there's a lot of different types of questions you can get that are all genuine. So the first question that I want to talk about is the budget one. Okay, so the coach responds, we like you, etc. Our scholarship situation is the following. We don't have that much money left, which they all say. And there's truth to most of it because none of them have that much money to begin with. And they go, what's your budget? How do you respond to that? So we have a template for you that we can have used so you can see it written out in the College Soccer Guy program. But if you're like, I don't really know what to say, the best thing that you have to do is step number one, and we have a video on this. We want you first to go talk to your family. And if you're a parent, amongst yourself and go, what is our budget? Just so you know, if you can afford above $20,000 per year, you can pretty much go to any college in the country. I'm not saying you want to take out a loan or something, but pretty much all coaches can go, okay, we can maybe squeeze some academic money out of there. We can maybe get you some scholarship money. If you can't afford $20,000 per year, odds are you're going to have to go to junior college, even if the coach loves you. Just getting a full scholarship that they're going to pay for everything is just so unlikely, and it's just not realistic. So a budget, if you can say to the coach, hey, I have a budget of $20,000 per year, the coach can come to terms and go, okay, I think I can pull some money. What's his GPA? Oh, he can get some academic money. That covers this. They're only going to be in debt $7,000 or $10,000 over 4 years, which, for an amazing experience and an education that could change your life forever, that's a pretty good deal. So that's how I want you to handle the budget question. Now, the next question you're going to get is something called the transcript. Okay, they're going to say to you, could you please send us over your transcript? So that one's relatively easy. You're just really going to send over your transcript. Just make sure that you get it quickly. So what I tell my students on the first meeting is, hey, get ready. You're going to need a full game video at some point, and you're going to need your transcripts at some point. So just make sure you've talk to your teachers in your school about getting the transcripts prepared. They're going to want to do a pre-read on you, especially if you're somebody who's going to a high academic school, and they're going to need your transcripts. And it's also going to help them determine how much academic money you could potentially get. And they're going to compare you to the other students they're considering, and they're going to see what the school says. The school might say, hey, this kid's better. We like his transcript better. Which soccer player do you like? And he goes, well, I kind of like that one, but if his grades are better, then I can go get a player that's worse maybe in that department because I'm giving you a better academic kid. And the school goes, deal, go find a kid that has less good grades but maybe is a better soccer player, or vice versa. So your transcript's really important. And to be honest, if you have a great transcript, your life changes. It's just so helpful to have a good transcript. And if you have above a 3.5 GPA, I would say 80% of schools can get you at least $15,000 to $20,000 worth in scholarship per year or over the course of 4 years. So it's really helpful to have good grades. Okay, then a genuine invite to a camp. So the coach might say to you, we watched your video, we'd love to see you at camp, could you please come? That's really the golden trophy kind of in this email process. You're not going to get a lot more than that. You're not going to get an offer through an email alone, traditionally speaking. You could get an offer, and my students have received offers, been like, hey, we believe you're the fit for our team, and if you'd like to come to our team, we'd like to make you an offer. That will happen through email for sure. And that's also a genuine email, of course. And that you could qualify as the genuine offer. But more than likely, you're going to get invited to an ID camp genuinely first. And that's great. All you really have to say at that point is, thank you so much. I will work on planning on attending. Then if you go back to the previous podcast about creating your list and staying organized, you'll know how to decide whether that's the ID camp you should go to. Then you have something called the genuine fall invite. So when it comes to fall season, which I'm making this particular episode in June, is when you eventually have the fall season, which will come up soon, you want to get invites to those games. And so the way we do that is in our mass email. In one of the mass emails, we will say, may I have permission to shake your hand in person after the game that I plan on coming to? Or what game do you plan I attend in the fall season? And so those are really good opportunities to play college soccer because now you have a meeting with the coach at the game, and that's a huge opportunity to get recruited in the fall season is when you have a meeting set up, and that's kind of one of the email templates that we work on with you. So now you've covered the genuine invite for the fall game. Now the phone call. So traditionally speaking, when you set up a phone call, college coaches you're not going to ask them for a phone call and you're going to get one. Coaches have to ask you first. So think about in the dating world, which I guess is a little bit gender biased, but in the dating world, traditionally, the girl's not going to say to the boy, would you please take my phone number? Usually the boy says, can I give you my phone number? Unless the girl really likes the boy, then sometimes the girl will say, and this is too young for most of you, but if you're on dating apps, it's a totally different scenario. Anyways, the point is that when you're doing this process, it's kind of like dating apps, it's kind of like dating in person. The coach is usually going to say to you, hey, I'd like to schedule a call with you. So that's their way of saying we have a crush on you. We want to get to know you a little bit better. Or like we want to have a coffee date. That's a version of it. So that's really exciting. It's a good thing. And my point is it's very unlikely in the email process you're going to say to them, hey, I'd like to schedule a call with you without that being too aggressive and for them being like, no, we don't have any reason to call you. They will tell you when they want to schedule a call. And you will have earned the call because you will have been sending them multiple every touch videos, your highlight video, full game timestamp videos, and inviting them to showcases and ID camps. And they'll be like, okay, now we want to call you. So that's how that stage comes. And then the final one, which we did already have a particular podcast just for this called the full game one. You can listen to that, to the other video or the other podcast, is they'll ask for your full game, in which case you're going to give them a full game, full timestamp video, and you can listen to the other podcasts about like the details on how to send a full game, full timestamped video. Wonderful. So now you've got all these genuine emails that you're receiving. Okay, this is the world you want to live in this I'm getting genuine emails, I'm getting genuine emails. Of all of these genuine emails, the most difficult one to deal with is the camp invite one, because when you get a genuine invite to camp, you're like, well, nothing's really changed, like other than I know they kind of want me to be there, which is helpful, but still not like crazy, it's still not a game changer. So in saying that, it's kind of difficult to be super stoked on the genuine ID camp, other than I'm here to tell you, hey, you should be super stoked because there's hundreds of emails. They do not respond to everybody. Now they want you to come to camp. Now you know which camp you should probably prioritize, and now you got to go to the camp and impress them. In a perfect world, in this whole recruiting world, ideal world would be you're an amazing soccer player. You go to a showcase. You get seen at the showcase as an amazing soccer player. Coach sends you a message, says, I want you. It's for UCLA, Stanford, whatever. And then they recruit you to play college soccer, and your life is wonderful and rainbows, and you go to play college soccer, then you're the best one in college, you get drafted, and you play pro. Okay, good for you. Okay, I played pro soccer. I played Division I college soccer. That never happened to me one time in my entire career. Even upon going pro, that never happened. What instead is I took this whole situation by the throat, by the scruff of the neck, and I said, I'm going to force my way into getting recruited by showing these coaches that I'm a baller and that I understand the recruiting process. I'm a good person. I have a good highlight video. I deserve to play college soccer, and I'm going to make this happen. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you guys make this happen, because the other way just doesn't happen for very many people. It happens for some. I have a friend who I played with growing up. I never rated him that highly, to be honest, but he at one point grew a bit, got called into an academy team, then got called into the U.S. under-20s, and then he got recruited by UCLA. Then he went pro. He and I had the exact same career, which is crazy. Like, I played actually at a slightly higher level of pro soccer than he did, and I was hustling the entire time doing it through college soccer. And he had a pretty easy peasy lifestyle, and now, after the fact, you learn a lot of lessons. He's going to go back to school. He's going to law school, and he's a really nice guy. But look, the point is that if you're not that player, you can decide to give up, and that's okay too. Or you can kind of do what I'm saying, which is, hey, why don't I learn how this process works and do my part to get recruited? And I can tell you, you're going to learn a lot along this journey, not only soccer stuff, but I'm here just to focus really on the soccer stuff. I'm the college soccer guy. I've helped hundreds of students play college soccer. If you want help, give me a call. Links in the bio, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.